Welcome to E3.
It's very important that we make progress. These things we are saying are very important. Hallelujah. I think we stopped at page 16. This is page 16. Hallelujah. This is what my next year will be like. Is that where we stopped? Personal life and family, career and studies. Yes, we did that last week. Friends, community, relaxation, hobbies, creativity, physical health, fitness, mental health, self-knowledge, habits that define you a better tomorrow. So I think we did that you should write 3 things or anything you look forward to, the goals you want to pursue this year. That's what this page is for. That's page 15. The goals you want to pursue this year. Success is the achievement of predetermined goals. David faced Goliath, and David told Saul, he says, I was in the jungle one day tending my father's sheep. A lion came and took one of the sheep. I went after the lion and I slew it. Another time a bear came. In progression, when you set little target for yourself and achieve them, it builds your confidence. And it builds your faith. It gives you the assurance that when you set big targets, you will achieve them. The point I'm trying to make since we started this series, since I've been doing this thing for a couple of years now, every year, is that for many of us who think that success is for those, the privileged, set little goals every year, achieve those little goals, and see how your life made progress. Because we are in Africa, there is a general idea that there are unseen spiritual forces that prevent some of us from success in life. And I've tried my best to explain to you that there is no such thing, that the biggest hindrance to your progress as a believer, as a Christian, as a human, is yourself. Yes, the environment may have 1 or 2 impact by way of the opportunities that your environment creates. But that is not to say that ultimately what you become is a reflection of what somebody has wished for you or somebody has hexed on you. That's why we say set little goals in every areas of your life, achieve them. It builds your faith to take the next action. David killed the bear, and it gave him the confidence to confront the lion. And when he handled those 2, he saw nothing in Goliath that he couldn't handle. Praise God. You know, the funny thing is that when we read those kind of stories, we just have this unusual idea of some super spirituality about David. No, David was not different from you. And I've said a lot of things about the personality of David. If David were to enter the church of today, they won't accept him. They won't accept him. David was not a good guy. In fact, we did a study on David here. A man that could sleep with other people's wives and kill them. Praise God. A man that wanted to kill Abigail's husband and marry Abigail. And ultimately he married Abigail when the man finally died on his own. A man that was so bloodthirsty that he told his warriors, I feel thirsty, and I want water from the well that is in the garrison of the Philistine. It's like the president telling people that I want water from the well in Sambisa forest. And his warriors took their weapons, went into the garrison of the Philistine, killed 1,000 people, and fetched water for David. That guy is terrible. And when he got the water, what did he do? He said, no. You people killed 1,000 people to get me this water. It's too expensive. I'm not worthy of this water. And he poured it out. He was just bloodthirsty. David was such a man that, how did they know that, this one, you don't go, now go in this, now go in this. David, at his old age, he was going to die, and they were not sure the way he's behaving. What did they do? They brought a virgin to him, and David could not do anything to her. They said, you don't die, safe. How terrible can someone be? Because when you read about David, you have this idea that, David, he was so spiritual. The power of God was on him. David was a rebel. He's not as spiritual as you think, people think that it was a high level of spirituality that David was in when David entered the temple and took the bread that is meant for the high priest and ate it. It was a case of, if God will kill me, may he kill me. And he ate it. It was not because David had one superlative understanding of grace of God. He was just in his mind, the workings of David's mind. He was just a rebellious person. I am saying all this about David, not to vilify his personality, but to show you that if you are rating in order of moral uprightness, some of you are far better than David. Praise God. I've said this before. I'm sorry when I say it, for those of you who are sensitive to it. That the way the Old Testament was written, because the Old Testament was a Jewish book, it has a way of glorifying the ancestors of the Jews. That's why you read about David like, one superhero. You even read about Solomon, who was actually an idolatrous person and married 700 wives and 300 concubines. You read about him, and in your mind, you think he's a beautiful hero. Whereas he built a lot of shrines, not shrines to Yahweh, shrines to Baal and Molech. And Solomon is one of the founders of Jewish mysticism. A lot of people don't know. In the intertestamental age, it was the book of Solomon that people were using to practice mysticism and exorcism. That same Solomon. One of the most powerful magical weapons in Jewish Kabbalah is the signet of Solomon. Praise God. But when you read about Solomon, what impression do you have? No. Beautiful, such a hero, biblical hero, man of wisdom. The grace of God was so mighty upon him. But you look at yourself and say, poor wretched me. Who shall deliver me from this body of death? That's why when we tell you about the grace of God, that you have been accepted in his beloved, you should believe us. If you hear now that, myself and my wife, all of a sudden, maybe I have house help, and my house help became pregnant for me. My wife told me to sleep with my house help and have children. And how does that sound in your ears? But that's what Abraham did. It's not the message of today. I don't know what I'm talking. That's what Abraham did. It's presented, such a wonderful, it was such a wonderful thing, It was such a wonderful thing, Abraham, he's the father of faith. It was such a wonderful thing. I'm trying to show you the picture of the father of faith. Praise God. And it was such a terrible thing that for no just cause, because his wife didn't now like his other wife that gave birth for him, and he just packed the woman and drove the woman away. So much so that God sympathized with the woman. An angel came and told him, for this wickedness Abraham has done to you, don't worry, you will be a prince of many nations. Believe in yourself. You are not as bad in comparison with the people you glorify. Believe in yourself. The grace of God has appeared unto all men. Believe in the workings of God's grace in your life. Believe in it. So, all those great men that achieved great things in their lives, even in the scripture, and even in the world today, they didn't achieve great things because there was an unusual grace of God upon them. No, they just dare to take the next action. That's what they did. That's what they did. So you must dare to take the next action. Look beyond your present status. Dare to take the next action. Dare to take the next action. Don't judge yourself by your present status or your present capacity. And for that to happen, you must plan. You must plan. You must have dreams. You must have aspirations. You must have it. You must have it. Oh, I wish for financial independence. How do I get it? What action do I take next? What action do I take next? That is how greatness happens. Last week I shared, I've seen managers who live in the homes of drivers. It is plan that makes the difference. Do you have a plan for 2022? Do you have a plan for 2023? Do you have a plan for 2024? You must have a plan. You must have aspiration. And the closest your plans will have to becoming real, their first encounter with the material world is when you put it down in the paper. And that's what we are doing now. Your future is a blank slate. Whatever you write on that slate is what it becomes. Are you with me here today? Your future is like a blank canvas. You take your brush and your paint. Whatever you paint on it is what it becomes. So if I were you, what would you paint? You need a plan. Everyone here must have a plan. Everyone here must have a plan. You must have a short-term plan. You must have a medium-term plan. You must have a long-term plan. As I am now, I'm already contemplating how my old age would be. How do I want it to be? And I've said this to you all, that for every seed, for every money, you know who says seed? For every money that comes into your hand, there is seed inside. And seeds are not meant to be eaten. They are meant to be planted. Praise God. Beyond money, seeds are also coming to your hand by way of the words you hear. Are you planting those words? Are you taking action on them? I don't want you guys to just come to church and feel good. Choir amplified will give you a beautiful song, and we all live here feeling cool with our lives. I want to look at you every year and say, clearly, this man has made progress. Praise God. Because faith that is not relevant to your everyday life is not a good faith. I don't know what that kind of faith is. Faith that is not impacting the quality of your life. Jesus said, I came that you may have life and have it abundantly, have it well. Have a good life. Suffer for earth, enjoy for heaven. That is not the will of God concerning you. I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. So if you have aspirations, write it down. And the problem is that, you remember the man by blind Bartimaeus. Blind Bartimaeus was very clear about what he wants. But he was not communicating it. And that's the lot of many of us today. Jesus is walking by every day asking you, what do you want me to do? What many of us are doing. Oh, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy upon me. Is it mercy you want now, or you want your eyes restored? All these lofty prayers that we do. Oh, Son of David, you are the Son of David. You are the Son of David. Have mercy upon me. Yeah, well, he was persistent. He disturbs Jesus. And Jesus sent the man and said, go and ask him, what does he want? A lot of you are just shouting, Son of David, Hosanna, Hosanna. And Jesus is asking, what do you want? I make bold to say that if God were to appear before many of you today, one-on-one, face-to-face, and ask you, what do you want? You don't know. Can you experiment with that? Do you understand what I mean? If God were to stand in front of you now and says, Richard, what do you want? God is standing in your front. I bet you, many of you say, okay, let me go on. God, give me some time. But he doesn't have time. He's passing by. What do you want? Can you ask your neighbor, what do you want? What did they say? And when you don't write down your aspirations, you won't know what's most important to you. So, I'm sure, if God appeared to some of you now, what do you want? You just say, I want to bone straight hair. Okay, you want endless supply. Some of you say, no, I just need an iPhone 13 Pro Max. The problem with that God is standing in your front and is asking you what you want, and you are not able to provide an immediate answer, is because you have not taken the pain to sit down and clearly articulate what is important to you and what you want out of life. You have not. You have not. And in Africa, in Nigeria today, of course, we know the issues of, we say Yahoo boys, Yahoo girls, and all that. If you see the way many of them live their lives, you will know that clearly they don't know what they want. So they stumble into money. Money comes into their hands by any means. I don't know what means. I don't know how it works. Sometimes I just say maybe they should just show. How does this thing work? Because I don't understand. How can money just be flowing like this? So because they have not sat down, and that's what we see in society today, in Benin, and not just Benin, in Nigeria, because they've not sat down and properly articulated their needs. Oh, this is the fad. This is what is raining. Everybody is doing it, and there's money, and they jump into it. And what happens? It controls their behavior. That's why they will go to the streets and throw money on the floor. It controls their behavior. They'll buy the most expensive cars of 30, 40 million, and they just don't know what to do. They'll, just enjoy, just play around, live wildly, because they have really never sat down and critically articulated what they need in life, what they want out of life. So when money flows into their hands, they don't know what to do with it. So buy the G-Wagon, drive it anyhow, crash it, go to Sapele Road, you see previously used G-Wagons with numbers, all sprawling in the area, put up for sale. Maybe they finish the money, the stream is ceased to flow, and they can't sustain the lifestyle. I was told, somebody, they did an analysis for him. In 6 months, he has spent over 60 million. And he said, hey, I don't buy land, though. Hey, I don't buy land, though. I heard that story. He said, hey, I don't buy land, though. 60 million has left. He has just take, that's endless ATM. You go to club. Okay, I buy for everybody. Just behave righteously. And in 6 months, Dorimi. He says Dorimi. Crazy things. And in 6 months, he has spent over 50 million. And the young boys say, hey, God, I don't buy land, though. Say, Zeh. I beg you, sit down and ask yourself what you want out of life. Sit down and ask yourself what you want out of life. Sit down and ask yourself what you want out of life. When you have resolved that, when resources flow into your hands, you are made for life. That's why I asked many of you last year, do an analysis of all the money that entered your hands last year compared to what you achieved with them, and find out whether you have made progress. Find out whether you have made progress. Are we in church today? That's the importance of planning and goal setting. If God were to stand in your front today and ask you, what do you want? What will you tell him? I can assure you 90% of the people here will be confused. So, take it that God is standing in your front right now and is asking you, what do you want out of 2022? Write it out. Write it out. That's how progress is made. Praise God. Are you in church today? Who is he that wants to build the tower? That will not first sit down and count the cost and see if he can complete it. Start. Praise God. So what do you want in your personal life, in your family life, career, studies, friends, community, relaxation, hobbies? Have you wondered why, for many people are not aware, there is an epidemic of drug addiction in Nigeria today, an epidemic of drug addiction. And I just pray that we do not lose a whole generation in this country. I just pray we don't lose a whole generation. Why is there an epidemic of drug addiction? What creates those kind of things is, pleasure seeking, pleasure centered. Oh, money flows into your hands. You want to have fun, but you can't think of any meaningful way to have fun. There's so much disposable income. And let's go clubbing. First, observe the spread of clubs in Benin. There are over 300 of them in Benin. I'm telling you. And they're all booming. They are all booming. Over 300 of them in Benin. And they are all booming. Why? Because you've not really estimated what you want. So money is flowing into your hands. And how do you spend it? Let's have fun. You go to club. Now, clubbing, it starts with, you remember a few years ago when the clubbing spirits entered Benin? There was a time in this city, by 8 o'clock, the whole Benin is asleep. If you are going home in Benin at 9, you are afraid. Everywhere is dark. Everywhere is quiet. But today, 2 o'clock, come out. Monday, and in those days, it started coming up. It was Fridays. So Friday evening, people stretch till 10. But now it's every day. It's every day. So guess what? When you become pleasure-centered like that, clubbing, everybody is doing the clubbing thing, but the clubs are no longer providing the kind of fix that you want. You want to enjoy this life, man. So the next thing, you are introduced. Because the money is there. So people start taking drugs. There is actually an epidemic of drugs. In those days, when we hear about cocaine, we think that it's only in America, you see it, and it's for the super rich. But I hear that it's on the streets of Benin today. You see? Yeah, your neighborhood. It's everywhere. And they sing about it. They act movies about it. Because they say some people are science students. You know, they know how to concoct the various mixture. And there's a pandemic or an epidemic of drug addiction. Why? People don't really know what they want. If God were to stand before you today and ask you, what do you want? Do you have an immediate answer for him? That question is for everybody. So if God stands before you today and says, what do you want out of this year in your personal life, in your career, in your everything, what would you write? What would you say? Write it there. Praise God. Praise God. Some of the things you may want, for some of you, if you're already slipping into that path, it's a slippery slope. Now that I mentioned about drug addiction, if you're already on that path, it's a slippery slope. I encourage you to stop it. Retrace your steps. You know, I've started telling my children, first, you must be careful when you visit your friends. If you must visit them, be careful. In fact, before you leave your home, say, I want to visit a friend. That must be very, when you go there, if they give you a bottle of Coke, open it yourself. Are you with me? Not that they will pour it out in a red cup. Say, take, and you don't know what is inside. Open it yourself. The Coke bottle must be sealed before you take anything. Because that's how people get introduced into drugs. Praise God. Magical triplets for the year ahead. I will love these 3 things about myself. Write it out. I am ready to let go of these 3 things. Write it out. I'm ready to let go of my addiction to oversleeping. I am addicted to this, addicted to that. I'm ready to let them go. What are the 3 things you need to let go? I want to achieve these 3 things the most. What are the 3 things you want to achieve the most this year? Do a soul search and write it there. These 3 people will be my pillars in rough times. Who are your strongest allies in times of challenge? You know, we've had challenges. There was a brother of ours that was going to get married, and in the course of interviewing himself and his wife, after the introduction, I realized that both of them were AS. So I insisted that they must go, and I found out that they are not told their parents, and they've kept it secret from their parents. So I insisted that they must go and tell their parents, because I told them, when the storms of life come, your parents are most likely they that will stand with you through thick and thin. So go and talk to your parents. And if your parents consent that you go ahead with the wedding, I will go ahead and join both of you. Unfortunately, one of the parents said never. It will never happen. And we could not continue with the wedding. Of course, it was a big challenge because the woman was a big problem. Praise God. So in your life, there are people that you know that if you were to fall down today, they would likely stand by you. Write it out so you know how to treat those people. You know how to relate with them. A lot of you have fair weather friends. I'm not saying anything is wrong with having fair weather friends. But there is a problem with fair weather friends. When the storms of life hit you, you will look back. You realize that you've been standing all alone all the while. So identify those three that will stick closer than a brother. So you know how to treat them. So you know how to invest in the relationship. 3 things I will dare to discover. Write it out. 3 things I will have the power to say no to. Write it out. Hallelujah. Are we still here? I hope this lesson is blessing lives. Now, the 3 things continue. I will make my surrounding cozy with these 3 things. Your immediate environment. You know, in the period that I was teaching about the concern that people have about spiritual attacks and all those things, I drilled it down to your physical environment on many occasions. You know, people crack jokes, and I agree to a degree with those jokes. You know, for people in the villages, they always have problems of which they attack me. But someone joked and said, if you are living in an AC-tight room, witches don't visit those kind of places. Praise God. What you smell when you sleep, the thing that your eyes picture when you sleep during the rapid eye movement phase of sleep can impact what you dream about. So a lot of you have nightmares because there are smells that are not right in your immediate living space. There are unsightly things in your immediate living space. So it's important in your overall well-being as you progress in your overall well-being. It's important that your immediate environment, your living space, is also cute and cozy. I've said it before. Many of those witches, you dream that they fly for night, they fly. Witches, they've come. It may just be a giant cockroach that is flying and buzzing. And seriously, for those of you who dream that, a demon is pursuing you, one old woman in your village, it may just be there are too many rats in your room. Ratus. Too many rats in your room. Praise God. You know, I've spoken about the anatomy of dreams. You can ask the media team so that you can properly, because, you know, these things affect your overall mental health, your spiritual life. It affects you. There are some people who say that in our church we are not so spiritual because, because we don't provide spiritual solution. But we provide spiritual solution, but it looks too casual and they don't take it seriously. So what are the 3 things in your living space that you must correct? These things are real. What are the 3 things you would like to do every morning? For some of you now, the first thing you do, of course, you know now. You know now. May I talk am? No need. So, some of the 3 things you must do when you wake up, some of them, say a word of prayer, read a line of scripture, and any other thing you like to do. For some, they'll say plan your day, but so it doesn't look too academic, but say a word of prayer. Thank you, Lord, for a beautiful day. Thank you, Lord, for a beautiful sleep. Read the line of scripture. You can read it online or read it but read the line of scripture. What are the three things you must do? What are the three things you must pamper yourself with regularly? One of the resolve I have had is that I will not joke with my vacation. Every year I will go, if not for the stupid COVID-19 of last year, every year I must go on vacation. As part of the pleasures of life is the pleasure of seeing how the world look over there. And when some of you go there, you now know that hell is real and heaven is real. You know, people have been saying all those jokes that heaven is on earth here. Hell is close to, if you look around very well outside, you see hell. Somebody went abroad for the first time and entered certain communities and like, wait. Did they really say that heaven is better than this? Heaven. What else can be better than this? It's like when we're in Aberdeen, Edosa, my friend, he preached here during our anniversary. He took us around and we're like, okay, this is the eyebrow area. I was just laughing. I say eyebrow. What's eyebrow here? So the place you are staying, is it? The low brow area. He took us to the low brow area. I was now wondering, low brow? Why you are calling low brow area? It's almost like Victoria Garden City, Banana Island in Nigeria. He says it's low brow. Heaven is real low in this earth. Someone was showing a video of a street in America, a whole, like an estate. In that estate, the way people build garage in their house, when you build your house, you have a car park. Their own, what they have is aircraft park. Every house in that place, aircraft park. You will see signboard, careful, aircraft crossing. They built hangars in their house. As in, normal. It was a Nigerian that was filming it. He said, hey, whoa. Back when I see a plane, garage. Every house had a plane garage, every house. Because the people living in that community, they all had private jets. So they all have in the street. So in the street like this, when you see car, it's plane you see riding is going to park in their house. In the estate, everybody has a plane. Private jet. Some have two. So there's heaven in this world, though. So there are things you must tell yourself. As the Lord blesses me, there are things you must experience. One of the things I must have this year, sweetheart, I must go for my whale watching. Beautiful. Somebody already told me where. Don't worry, I'll send you the video. Because I follow all those lines on Instagram. Whale watching is very beautiful. In August, you go to maybe a stream in all those places and you see a giant whale. They come to play there and they know that human beings come to watch there. So you may just be on your boat, a giant blue whale will just, whoa! So beautiful, it's exhilarating. So this year, I will send you the video. I'm going for my whale watching. Praise God. It's part of my resolve. If not for the idiotic COVID, 2 years ago, we're going to go for a boat cruise. Royal Caribbean. We're going to move from Baltimore. No, let me describe it so that you know how life is. You move from Baltimore in the ship. It takes you to Florida. From Florida to the Bahamas in a 2-week period. Florida to the Bahamas and back to Florida. Some go to Cuba and come back to life is good though. This life is good though. This life is good though. And we have that, we must have that. We must have that. We must have it. It's not so expensive, oh. Maybe the price has changed. Yeah, as at 2 or 3 years ago, when we were looking at our accommodation in the hotel. You know, the hotel is like a 5-star hotel. The boat, the ship. I mean, you've seen those cruise ships. It's like a 5-star hotel. An accommodation, an accommodation that we were booking for was about $2,300 for both of us. It was about $2,300. There are the premium lounge. There are, how many of you have watched Titanic? Royal Caribbean, Empress of the Sea, beautiful ship. You eat 5 times a day. 5, no joke, and it's all buffet. If you like, go and kill yourself inside it. Praise God. Is it not good for my mental health? It is key. When I was smaller, I used to think that, how can you spend 5 million? Do you know what I will do? Forget. When I was younger, when I see sometimes my brother will buy shoe, 20,000, I say, what? Not me leg you want to wear around. What? 20 what? Thousand? Forget. Everybody gets in level. When some of you cry now, you say somebody bought 200 million naira car. What? When there's a stream that will always replenish it, you can do that. So the point is this: things you must pamper yourself with. Places you will visit. Name 3. I have named this year. I must go for my whale watching. Praise God. Name it. For some of you, it may be Kada Cinema. Oh, come on, what's wrong with Kada Cinema? Oh my God. And let me tell you, for those of you who are married, please enjoy the wife of your youth. Take seriously. I've told you guys before. The chances are that the only person that will be standing by you on the day of your death, the chances are that will be your wife or your husband. Even the children you have that you think are taking the best of your time now, they would likely be building their homes at that time. You call them, oh, daddy is not feeling very strong. You say, take him to the hospital. Don't worry, take him there and just send me the bill. Don't joke with your spouse. Don't joke with your spouse. I find it bewildering when we say that, for example, let's have a couples retreat, raise money, pay for a hotel, you and your wife stay there and have fun. And it's so difficult for some people. It's so difficult for some people. Praise God. This world will not end for me until I'm able to take my wife to the best shopping places in the world and say, pick whatever you want. Are you with me, please? Because, all this, you see, life is good, though, but it depends on how you make it. You think, life is about what? Your work, work want to kill you. See, stop. Your body is the temple of the living God. Treat it well. Treat it well. Treat it well. Are you in church today? 3 places you must visit. I will connect with my loved ones in these 3 ways this year. Some of you have fractured relationship with your loved ones. Fix it. Some of you need to forgive some of them, your loved ones. Fix it. When all is said and done, there is nothing like family. You may fight with your family now. You guys may not agree. But if anything should happen to you, they are the ones that will come by. Praise God. I will reward myself, my successes, with these 3 gifts. For example, I've been, in the next 4 years, I'll be 50. And I've been seeing people drive a car like a Prado, and I like it. And I'm thinking that at 50, I should gift myself a Prado Jeep. Does it not? Share that's good. Some of you need to gift yourself a cake. You know why it's very important? You say? Now, step by step. You know, my daughter used to tell me things like, she feels that we are selfish in the house. And my daughter loves food. She loves chicken, roasted chicken. She said when she's big, she will just go out and buy herself a chicken and eat it by herself. All this 1 piece, 2 piece that we give her is just very disappointing. You know? So do you know what? You need to do something for yourself. Some of you, you work so hard, you make money, you cannot buy yourself a good phone. No. You can't buy yourself a good phone. You are buying land up and down. You are buying land. You want to own the whole Benin. When you say phone, when they say phone, how much? 600,000. You know how many land that we buy from you? You know, one of my pastor friend, I told him, I said, please, this year, take your wife to Dubai. Go. How much is it? Take your wife to Dubai. Go and see life. Take your wife to Dubai. Now, stage by stage. For some of you, just take your wife to Ogbazu. Is there anything wrong with Ogbazu? So the point is this. As you labor, as you work hard, as you make sacrifice, when you achieve your successes, give yourself a reward. 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 Step up. It's very important. I remember many years ago, each time maybe I'm traveling to Lagos, I will have to call a friend, I'm staying in your house. So one day I just told myself, enough of this. Enough of this. So book a hotel and stay. And you know what? When I took that decision that day, our life stepped to that level. So I can't imagine traveling anywhere in the world today, and I'll be looking for a friend's house to stay. Thank God for Airbnb. I can't imagine. So you must give yourself, as you achieve success, you must tell yourself, this year, I will buy myself a good phone. This year, I will give myself a vacation. This year, I will go for a buffet in a beautiful restaurant. This year, I will give myself a treat. And for ladies, this is particularly very important. Don't wait for someone to make your bed. If you are not married, you are single, both male and female, or on your birthday, don't sit down and be crying that, nobody loves me. Valentine is coming for some of you. Oh, somebody needs to give me a gift on Valentine's Day. You tell yourself today, on Valentine's Day, I'm going to give myself a treat. Are you with me? Now, 6 sentences about this year. This year, I will not procrastinate anymore over what are the 3 things in your life that you will not procrastinate about this year. Write it there. This year, I will draw the most energy from what are the things you want to use as your biggest source of inspiration and energy. This year, I will be bravest when, what do you need to be courageous about, to be brave about? This year, I will say yes when, what do you need to say yes to? This year, I will advise myself to. This year will be special for me because now the next page says, speak a word to symbolize and define the year ahead. You can look at this word if you need some extra energy so you remember not to give up your dreams. On this column, just write, why are you not projecting the template? You were doing that last week so that people can still be seeing it. On this column, you just write what will be your caption for this year that will help you, inspire you, and motivate you to keep running even when the discouraging forces come. Secret wish, unleash your mind. What is your secret wish for your year? Write it here. Your secret wish for this year. Your secret wish for this year. For you, for some of the ladies, I just wish that Paul would just ask me out. Okay, there's a Paul you know. I just use that name. I just wish that James would ask me out. Right there. Yeah. I'm sure you know that wishes do come true. Do you know that wishes do come true? Do you know that wishes do come true? People are not answering. You don't believe me. Do you know that wishes do come true? What do you wish for? You wish to get a good job in this company, write it out. You wish to get married, write it out. Just wish. Praise God. And you believe that all things are possible. On Wednesday this week, we will be having a prayer meeting. So everything you have written turns out to be your prayer request. So we will come here on Wednesday to just present them before God, because the Bible says, acknowledge the Lord in all your ways and he will establish your path, he will establish your thought. So let's bring our wishes here on Wednesday by 5:30 and just pray and ask God, as you have instructed us, we have planned, we have wished, we have desired. These are our desires. And let God breathe upon them and bless us with good successes this year. We will increase this year. We will grow this year. In our personal life, in our emotions, in our physical life, in our health, in our career, in our studies, we will make progress. We will make progress. We will make progress. But let's do these things. Let's do these things. For the progress I've made in my life, I can trace it to one decision. We grew up in Delta, in the villages of Brutu and Bomadi. If you've ever been to those villages, you know that those are very obscure locations. It was during the Ibori regime that Ibori was able to build a road into Bomadi. Brutu, still today, for you to get to Brutu, you have to enter a river. To build a house in Brutu, you have to carry sand from Wari. If you enter a speedboat, it will take you almost 2 hours to 3 hours on a speedboat to get there. So these are obscure locations. I stepped into Uniben the first time in my life. The first time I ever knew what a university was in 1992. I never knew what a university was. When we were schooling there, the idea of university was not really so, because we didn't know, we didn't have a clue. It's not like saying, Nugbawa, you drive through Benin every time. And so I was totally, okay, I went to Lagos for the first time in my life, 1999. We didn't have TV growing up. We started watching TV, 1991. Praise God. So can you see where we're coming from? The first day I entered Uniben, I was so bewildered. I was like, what? Is this how university is? Wow! I would like to come here. And the passion was better in my heart. And I started working towards it. I wrote my SSC in 1993, and it was Efefidefe. Complete Efefidefe. In fact, Efefidefe is even good. It's and it was a very depressing experience for me, I remember first, I wrote GC, it was Efefidefe. I wrote SSC, it was Efefidefe. I remember the first time I went to see my GC result, and fear gripped my heart. This was 1993. Or 1994 or so. Fear gripped my heart, and I asked myself a very simple question: will I ever make it in this life? Honestly, I was depressed instantly. Will I ever succeed in this life? But I've shared this story. As I stepped into a bus on a 2 hour, I came out, entered the bus to be going home. There was a sticker right in front of me. You will make it in Jesus' name. And that sticker energized me. I wrote SSC Efefidefe. The result was so bad that there's no combination that can work. Have you written 6 years of your life? You wrote WAEC, and the result was so bad. You just saw WAEC result. You just thought it is useless. It's so useless, you just thought it. There is no need. It was fresh start. But the point is that at every stage in our life, goals were set. Yeah, not as formal as I'm doing it now, but in your heart, I want to study this thing. I need to read again. I must pass this exam. No matter what it takes, I need to pass this exam. So you set that goal and start pushing. And guess what? When those results came, I went to one church, and the message I heard was, oh, you think you failed your exam. You think it's ordinary. Oh, my friend, you need to pray. How many people in your father's side has ever passed their exam? How many people? That's the message. After you have just failed an exam, you are depressed. You go to a church, and that's what, the next day, will you not go to the pastor? Pastor, help me break the curse from my father's side because I failed my exam. But I refused to accept that. So as I heard those things that day, that was the last time I went to that church. I told myself, as I was hearing it, there was a revolution in my mind that was, you didn't know it enough, that's why you failed. You didn't know it enough, that's why you failed. You didn't know it enough, that's why you failed. Go back to where you failed. Write this exam. You will pass it. So I set a new target. 1994, that I must pass that exam. Thank God for my mother, who was very supportive, stood by. We wrote the exam again. I bought the Ababio textbook, the old one. I read it page to page. I read table of content, acknowledgement. And I'm telling you, no joke. Because my brain was like dead. How will chemistry enter this brain? But as I was reading acknowledgement, the man will say, I acknowledge Osayao Ababio. I acknowledge these people who typed the script, who did this. And as I'm reading, I say, not be human being beyond this. No, human being. These are how human beings. And it motivated me. So at every point in our lives, there's always been one stage that you need to climb. What stage do you want to climb this year? That's what I'm talking about here today. Now, as we set those stages, we kept climbing. And you look back someday, yes, I may not be a Dangote or a Deleke, but I look back to where I'm coming from, and I can agree with myself that I have made progress. And that will be the same for every one of us. The same. Set the new bar that you must climb. Set the new bar that you must climb. Set the new bar that you must climb. May the Lord bless His word into our hearts. May the Lord give us understanding. May the Lord give us wisdom. May the Lord give us the sense to apply the principles. In Jesus' name. Grace isn't just the prayer you chant before taking a meal. It's the way we live. The law came to show me how crooked I am, but grace came to straighten me out. Hello, I'm Osas Obarisiagbon, the senior pastor of House of Grace Benin, and I'm of Church of God Mission. Here, we liberate people from the bondage of religion through the gospel of grace that we teach, encouraging them to be all that God has called them to be. House of Grace is a dynamic worship center where lives are transformed in an atmosphere of love, friendship, and humility. We have seen troubled marriages restored. We have seen miracle babies to couples who are waiting on the Lord for children, birth of new businesses, and an undying passion to reach out to the unsaved for Jesus Christ. Come fellowship with us today and let Jesus make the difference in your life.